People are fed up with the major parties' self-interest and looking at short-term election cycles, not long-term sustainable policy.
Burleigh Heads local Erchana Murray-Bartlett isn't afraid of going the distance. She's already run the entire length of the country. Now the world record-holding marathon champ is about to embark on one of her biggest battles yet, running as the independent candidate for McPherson.
Why? Great question. Yeah. I am doing this for positive change. People want to prioritise their electorate and the needs of them over the interests of big corporations and political self-interest. So I'm expecting to see this wave continue, and I'm really excited to be part of it.
The Gold Coast seat of McPherson spans from Burleigh Heads to Coolangatta and has been safe for the coalition since 1972. But with incumbent Karen Andrews retiring, Erchana believes the LNP's time's up.
We've been a safe LNP seat for over 40 years, and when a party assumes that it has your vote, the needs of the community just fall by the wayside. I mean, we have ageing infrastructure, our roads are in gridlock. We're the fastest growing economy in Australia, and we're predicted to have over 1 million residents the next 15 years, but we're being taken for granted.
Do you think that there is this growing like a growing appetite towards independence then? And then are you comfortable in being the kind of face of that new wave?
Yeah, I mean, at the 2022 election, 1 in 3 Australians voted for an independent or a minor party, and I'm predicting that in the next election there will be more.
Who's funding your campaign?
We are fundraising from all across the electorate, so we have hundreds and hundreds of donations. We're also proudly receiving Climate 200 funds. They're matching donations from the community.
Climate 200 is a fundraising group putting money behind progressive candidates around the country. It's expected to hand out $10 million over 35 electorates, but that's still a far cry from what the major parties will throw at this election.
It's kind of ironic when people come down hard on Climate 200, but if you dive into the people funding the major parties, it's, gambling and it's fossil fuel industries and it's big pharma, There's 38,000 people donating to Climate 200 because they want to see community independent movements like mine come to the surface. They want to see democracy in its purest form, which means anyone should be entitled to represent their electorate and put their hand up to run. And we cannot lose that. It is integral to our democracy.
Over the past 50 years, Labor and Liberal have seen their share of votes plummet from 95% to just under 70%. And independent and minor parties are gaining momentum.
In the last election, when we saw those teal independents elected in blue ribbon Liberal seats, it was very much an anti-Morrison government wave. It was the woman factor and on climate change. Now, this time around, those issues aren't as prevalent, but I don't think that the Liberals should dismiss that those issues have gone away and should dismiss these independents coming through.
In 2022, 6 independents stormed into Parliament, later dubbed the Teals. They cut a swathe through formerly safe Liberal Party heartland. Their numbers boosted the 4 re-elected independents on the crossbench, with the Senate gaining independent David Pocock. And 3 former safe seats turned marginal. Those independent candidates who drew massive swings at the last election are all running again.
These independents this time around have brand recognition, which makes them very much a threat.
Come election night, Wannon will be among the most keenly watched contests in the country. Alex Dyson's up against Liberal frontbencher Dan Tehan, who's held the seat since 2010.
G'day there, my name's Alex Dyson, independent candidate for Wannon. We're here with a couple of parents at a playground in Warrnambool. I drove around, it's been about 20,000 kilometres of driving around Wannon. It's a very big electorate, it's bigger than Belgium, and you hear the roads are terrible, and when I was driving, I felt that as well. You hear about these waitlist issues with doctors and childcare and aged care. You hear about the energy bills, which are getting out of control, and the politicians don't seem to be helping with these kind of things. And sort of prioritising big business and profits over the actual people who are voting them in. And so by doing that and then listening, we can then enact policies.
Dyson reckons the new wave of independents have one drawcard the major parties don't.
I think not being politicians really helps. They can just help make government better no matter who's in power. I don't know if you've watched much Question Time, but it is 2 sides yelling at each other. The speaker's going off at them. People are getting kicked out.
Why is the Albanese government hopeless at everything?
Why don't they support any?
Condemn the outrage. The Leader of the House will pause. There is far too much noise.
And I was pretty horrified till I looked over at the independents, and they are quietly listening and working. And I think we have more people like that actually doing the work on the taxpayer dollar, then we'll have a lot better outcomes and we can get a lot more done.
And back on the Gold Coast, there's a new campaign approach underway.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone else has attempted to do this, which is literally you're running for your electorate, but you're running your electorate.
I am actually literally running the electorate. I'm going to run the entire perimeter. It's approximately 120 k's. I say approximately because I haven't done it yet. So the run is going to start in Burleigh Heads. We're going to go all the way down to the border. And then where it gets a little bit tricky, between these two valleys is a mountain range. Once we're here, it's pretty much smooth sailing up Smith Road around the top Merrimack Clear Island borders. I'm probably going to be getting pretty tired around here.
I love that you've run all of this, including the mountain, and you're like, yeah, probably here. I'll be tired. Just that.
If I can get to there, I'll be stoked. If I'm tired here, we're in trouble.
So how will the election shake up Parliament House?
If the polls are to be believed, we are certainly heading for minority government, which will certainly elevate independence and perhaps make people really think about the choices that they make when they go to vote.
Meaning both Labor and Liberal will be looking to negotiate and lock in deals with minor parties and independents.
I would be advocating for my community, advocating for who's going to take care of farmers, who's going to bring down electricity prices. I'll be going to both leaders from that. And in fact, the ball's then in their court to go, okay, who's taking the people of Wannon seriously now?
So when push comes to shove, minority government forms, independents have a lot of power in that situation. Who are you going to side with?
When push does come to shove, I will look closely at the policies that both governments are putting forward, and I will consult with the community, and we will make a decision that best aligns the values of the community.
If you get into Parliament, what are your thoughts on starting Parliament's first run club?
Oh, a Lake Burleigh Griffin parliamentarian run club. I like it. I can train people on how to run, and then we can talk policy all in one and go get a coffee before we head to Parliament House.
And if you don't like what they say, you can outrun them.
It's going to be a big challenge, isn't it, this election? But it's also a challenge for the media as well. Like the fact that we call them the Teals, that's not what they call themselves. It's just because we're like, I can't deal with all these independent people. Let's make up a term for them. Like they don't actually necessarily sit down together, come up with the same policies. Like we just can't deal with all these different independents, can we?
Are they all promising cuddling ducklings? Because I'd vote for that.
Well,
there's a lot of not enough
that.
cuddling ducklings.
I would not vote for a run-talking government policy. I can't think of anything worse to do. Running already sucks. And then you're like, hey, you want to talk about tax policy? It's like, no, I'll sit at home, thank you.
It's also a bad way to do, like, door knocking. She's just running past knocking. Keep running.
Yeah, exactly.
Catch me if you can. Do you think the two parties, though, the politicians that have been there for years, just when this rolls through, they're just sitting there going, oh, God, here they come again.
Well, they've been trying to push for a lot of, well, where do they stand and who will they side with? They have to sort of start giving their preferences to see where they lay, which is not what the major parties do.
Yeah, it's nice to get things just a little shaken up, don't you think?
I don't even know what teal is as a colour. I can't even say the word colour, apparently.